And welcome to a new edition of Education is the Best Medicine. I am subbing for Eyes of the Conscious Soul. Miss Howard is out, uh, and it's safe to say she's happy in her role as a new grandmother. That being said, I want to thank you for tuning in. Um, and kind of wanted to start with kind of, if you've ever been in school, as a whiteboard, the whiteboard, all the things in your brain. And so I thought this would be that show. It's September, the end of September. And September is the ninth month of the year, and it has 30 days in it. It is the beginning of autumn in the northern hemisphere and spring in the southern hemisphere. Notably, it's named Septem, the Latin term for seven, as it was originally the seventh month in the Roman calendar year. It's amazing how much Greek mythology gets into America's psyche. Um, and just kind of wanted to highlight some of the things in September. And as they're kind of around some news and politics and medicine, I want to give a special shout out for prostate cancer. And our last guest a couple months back, African American, who prostate cancer survivor, and really enlightened us on, the one of the major killers of us as men, and need to get screened, to get examined, get the PSA, see your healthcare provider about testing, and understanding what it means when your PSA is elevated, or what are the things you can do to keep your PSA normal. And a lot of things some has to do with genetics. Prostate cancer sometimes has to do with genetics, but basically, again, emphasizing the plant-based diet and water and less soda, less sugar, that kind of thing. Want to say another special shout out to the folks I'm going to have coming on in the next couple of weeks. Mr. Danny Cotton, again, he's a lifelong friend, and but doing some real strong work and recidivism and incarceration return. And he and I talked extensively about the need to have more advocacy for the folks behind prison bars, and my son included. And we had some really candid calls. So I think I'm gonna have him come on and talk about what he thinks is going on in that arena. Um, Also, Mr. Another shout out to Mr. Doug Harris Media. He done a couple of great specials on African American life, particularly in Berkeley. And he's previewing a new work, and so he and I are going to talk, and I'm going to take a look at it, and then have him to come on and talk about this new work and what's going on in Black media. And I think it's important because if we don't tell our stories, then no one will, or the way they want to tell our stories won't be the way that we want them told, or whether they should be told. And again, it's for honesty, truth, and dignity, whatever it is. Um, Again, the whiteboard on my brain, dress codes, and interesting enough, Deion Sanders prime, and if you ever got the chance during the his heyday as an athlete and now as a coach, he was something to see. He's one of the few athletes that played professional football at the same time. It was very good at it. And it just gets me into this discussion around dress and dress codes and how we should look, and clothes make the person. You say clothes make the man, they say clothes make the person. There's a real move away from uh, corporate looking dress, vis-a-vis the Senate of the United States of America, Congress, and how they uh, dress in terms of the suit and tie and that kind of thing, and the language currency, um, and and I always thought of clothing as a form of like social currency. And Coach Prime discussed. He says, when you look good, you feel good, and when you feel good, well, you play good. And that's the whole role of it. I guess it also has something to do with everyone being similar or different, and got me into thinking. Well, I've been in the military, and I've also played on athletic teams where you had to dress, in the uniform in order to play, either for protection or to be seen as a part of that group. And I guess my question is, what happens when you don't fit that group? What happens when it's not comfortable with you for you to feel that way? And I want to make a special discussion about not just stress, but who we are as human beings, and this whole uproar about people and differences and who they love and who they don't love. And I can't speak on that, but all I can say is that I don't have the right to tell anyone who they should or who they shouldn't love. I don't have a right to tell a woman whether she should or should not have a baby. I just don't have those rights. That's not a right that I think has been impressed upon me. And when I go out of my right zone, then I feel uncomfortable. Right? And well, this thing with the dress code has really gotten kind of deep because Chuck Schumer, who is the president of the Senate, Democrat, wanted to loosen the dress codes for one particular member in particular who had a medical concern. He had a stroke and just felt harder for him to dress the particular the social currency of the suit and tie. So um, Mr. Schumer wanted to relax those rules, and there was an uproar. The Senate is degrading, and we're losing our esprit de corps, and it says something about the body to the world. And it went some deep places, but I guess maybe I don't know. I think as an African American man, even whether I dress the corporate fashion or in my time hippie fashion, it's still I was an African American. I was an African American, and I mean by that is that it didn't change people's perceptions about me or their attitudes about me. They made it feel better, but I was to them what they thought I was, and that goes back again to 1619. Um, and so I thought about being on a team and military sports team, and what were the norms that entailed, um, the black jacket and the suit and tie or the after five. What does that mean to us? And uh, I guess it started because I wanted to play sports, and I was okay at sports. I was, I guess, maybe a CB player, you know, but had some great times in endeavoring myself and get a chance to look back with a few men a couple of weeks back when we met together at Mouswood Park for the Legends event. It's a group of African American men in Oakland that we've known each other for I guess 20, 30 years, and we all play ball together. So it's always good to see them and reconnect with them. Um, they really did impact my life as a group of men. Get your flu shot. I got mine. It hurt a little bit, but look, prevention is worth a pound of cure. Uh, there's been an increase in COVID cases. Uh, it's about the fifth leading cause of death in America right now, and I don't think uh, I want you to fool with it. And again, this comes in the concept of I was talking with a young one of the letter carriers in Berkeley, is a good friend of mine. He asked me about the flu shot, and, was it some sort of attempt to basically kill African Americans? He was worried about it. He felt like he couldn't trust it. And again, we've talked about this at length that that's true, but this is a global society. These are global issues. If you can prevent yourself from getting, and right now, the flu, RSV, and get the pneumonia shot, get the shingles shot if you can get it, and you're at the age point, use the prevention. It's like a proper diet is prevention. Getting rest is prevention. Reducing your stress is prevention. Loving yourself and caring about yourself is prevention. Uh, I'm really having a strong conversation with women of color um, as I deal with medical concerns about them taking care of themselves, because characteristic of women of color don't take care of themselves, but they take care of everybody else. And it gets back to this issue around, strong versus superwoman, and, some of those tenets of racism and sexism that mandate that, women have a certain place in the society. And I think about my mom, and I think about how strong she was, and how through it all she was able to persevere. And I think that's the resilience that I think about and talk about when I talk about the community. And again, it's just, these are well tested. I don't think we get our COVID without a vaccine. There's no way we could have got out that fast. And we still have 30% of people that have not been vaccinated. I got to go look at the numbers, but 30%, last time was 30% in America and 30% in China. Um, and speaking of injury, I have to comment on this whole issue around the failure to pass a budget. Now, I know that may seem tough to people, but people that live paycheck to paycheck have to pay their bills, and they have to pay them in a timely manner. They have to take away from things they can't have to pay for the things that they need: food, clothing, shelter. Now, it seems inappropriate for millionaires to not be able to put together a budget so that these appropriations for childcare, for service workers, for firefighters, for air traffic controllers, for the military. I mean, these are hardworking Americans. Gets back to what is American, is what's going on now in the Congress American. Should we be held captive by a vocal and angry minority? Because that's what's happening. And so, as they work on this and work out of it, it says that certainly politics is more important than country or being American, regardless of your affiliation. So it kind of concerns me. Um, and what struck me as kind of interesting. People are angry about gas prices. Again, in the discussion of education, of medicine, all these things affect our health, the stress of them, the lack thereof of them. So they become things we need to discuss about, understand, as opposed to get angry about. And so GPT chat, it says, in fact, I just went to the gas station for gas. I think my gas is like $5.53, almost $6. Let's call it $6 a gallon. So in the last two, I asked in the Ask GPT chat, I said, in the last 20 years, how often has how often has the American economy been affected by oil producers' decisions to reduce supply? Here's what GBT chat says. It says, over the past 20 years, from about 2003 to 2023, there have been several instances where the American economy has been affected by oil producers' decision to reduce supply. These decisions are often made by the Organization of Petroleum Exporting Countries, OPEC, and other major oil producing countries. And here are some notable instances. So if you don't control the product, you can't control the price, thereby the need to move to electric vehicles. Yes, they're going to be expensive, but it would stop this assault on our economy. Now, I don't particularly care for Elon Musk, but the idea is great. I don't particularly care for his politics. And if you watch the news, uh, there was always an active discrimination appears to be at the Tesla plant toward African Americans working in those units. So he's not someone that until he changes his stripe, I don't really care for. He also cut back the use of the internet, uh, the stellar communications, so that the Ukrainians couldn't use it to fly their drones. Nice guy. Anyway, so it says OPEC, right? Not Biden, not Trump, not the Congress, not the oil producers in America, but those that own the product. That's who you should be upset at. If you're upset, be upset at them because understand they cut back production, along with Russia cutting back production, less barrels on the market, higher costs. Remember, if things go the way they should go, we should be doing electric in the next 20 years. Thereby, the product that they have now will be worthless, and they know it. So, it says, I don't think in any certain order, it says 2008 financial crisis. During the global financial crisis of 2008, oil prices reached a record highs in part due to OPEC's decision to cut oil production. Are you getting a theme here that when they cut production, the money, the cost of it goes up? It makes sense, right? When you have less of a product and more people want it, then that price of that product will go up. Economics. This had a significant impact on the U.S. economy, contributing to higher energy costs and affecting various industries. 2014 to 2016, oil price collapsed. In 2014, OPEC decided not to cut oil production despite a glut in the global oil market, which led to a sharp decline in oil prices. This had mixed results on the U.S. economy, benefiting consumers with low gasoline prices, but hurting domestic oil industry and energy-dependent regions. One hand washes the other. I believe it or not, America is one of the major producers of shale. It's a dirtier form of crude oil, but it's a major producer of it. And now they've started to cut back because they see the writing on the wall with the use of increase of electric vehicles, increase of solar. All that requires less oil-driven products. COVID-19 pandemic. So you didn't think that was going on, right? See healthcare, right? COVID-19 pandemic resulted in a massive drop in oil demand, leading OPEC and its allies to agree on significant production cuts to stabilize the prices. The economic impact of the pandemic, coupled with the oil price collapse, had a profound effect on the U.S. economy, leading to job losses in the energy sector and reduced economic activity. What it should tell us that we can no longer continue to have our economy driven by a product that we don't control. And that's why the oil companies are making record profits, because in a number of years, it won't be oil, it'll be solar, it'll be electric. You'll need a very small amount of oil to run things. Recent decisions, and this is for recent decisions, 21, 23, OPEC and its allies have continued to make supply decisions that impact oil prices. These decisions have both short-term and long-term effects on the American economy, influencing oil costs, inflation, and economic growth. Now, GPT chat, love it. It never mentioned political party. It didn't mention Biden, didn't mention Trump, didn't mention the Congress. It mentioned those that own the oil make the price. So I think we have to be factual and understand why the prices of oil are so high. And there's nothing that America can do fall short of go over there and, And we tried that before, and that wasn't a good outcome until we changed the energy source. Then we have to pay these prices. And he said these are just a few examples. There have been other instances where oil producers' decisions to reduce supply or increase production have ripple effects on the American economy. Oil price fluctuations can impact various sectors, including energy, transportation, manufacturing, consumer spending, making them a significant factor in the overall economic landscape. Of course, no doubt. And that's why the move to electric vehicles. Yes, expensive. Uh, uh, but contributing factors in regards to air pollution from gas producing vehicles, climate change, and the use of combustible engines is quite clear. We need to do it. We need to move to that medium. Uh, the discussions around global warming and the use of combustible engines clearly affects the temperature of the world. Uh, and we want to reduce our carbon imprint and our reduction of foreign subsidies. Makes sense to me. So this is where Biden's programs comes in and talks about electrification. This was this whole issue around the UAW, bless their souls. You have to respect them and love them, because the writing on the wall is if this goes the way it goes, the jobs that they have now won't exist in another 20 years. And they need to transition those workers into those new jobs. But it'll be less people need because of automation and the way the cars are made. And I was saying we were going through September. It was in September. It's a whole bunch of stuff. And so I kind of looked it off and I said, well, some of the interesting things. It says that, again, I want to thank the brother for talking about prostate cancer. And it's one of the big things that I'm concerned about as a clinician. And there's several awareness months celebrated in September. There are 5 that often get the most attention of the Hispanic Heritage Month. Shout out to my Hispanic brothers and sisters and all the folks that allow me to see them and translate and discussions about the health care, and very great group of people. Thank them. Blood Cancer Awareness Month. Library card sign up month. Okay. When's the last time I went to the library? It was one of my havens, Oakland Public Library, the main branch, beautiful library. I loved it. Learned a lot, It says something about a place where you can go and there's information there, just like GGP chat. Now you can go there, all the information is there, accessible to your fingertips, Uh, but it's something about going to the library and getting to the reference library and them pointing you to the literature and you looking through it and having that information in your hands. It's just different. Also, National Suicide Month. We're going to talk about that. And World's Alzheimer's Month. Again, some of the interesting things in September. Some ones I like. They kind of like threw me into the Blood Cancer Awareness Month. September raises awareness about blood cancers like leukemia, lymphoma, and multiple myeloma. These are all blood cancers. These often affect the blood, bone marrow, and lymphatic system. Blood cancers cause your bone marrow and lymphatic system to make blood cells that don't work as well as they should. They affect different types of blood cells, and they affect in different ways. Information and awareness about blood cancers connects people to education, emotional support, medical care, and new research. And this is from the Mayo Clinic. Something interesting about blood cancers and the need for evaluation and treatment. And I want to give a special shout out to a good friend of mine who passed of blood cancer, Gina Dawson. Great person, great dancer, great human being. Wish her well. This is also National Alcohol and Drug Addiction Recovery Month. And suffice it to say, a lot of the illnesses that I address are in fact alcohol related. A lot of them, and it impacts hypertension, diabetes, cancer, arthritis, mental health, and I would there's so much data on alcohol related issues and younger folks drinking more, heavy base drinking, um, and drinking at a younger age. The data started somewhere around 12. Um, and so what got me was alcohol related emergencies and death in the United States. Um, and this is from the INH. It says alcohol related deaths in the United States, 140,000 people died from alcohol related cause. There's a death from 2015 to 2019. 140,000 people lost their lives because they were drinking, and resulted in dying. Says the rate of alcohol-related emergency department visit increased to about 47% between 2006 and 2014. In other words, more alcohol-related emergency department visits came about between 2006 and 2014. And this is even we're not in COVID, right? This is just data that just they collect, and it translated to an average increase of 2010 alcohol-related emergency department visits. You know, so if you figure 25,000 a visit, man, that's a lot of money. You know, estimating says that alcohol played a role in at least 7.1% of emergency department visits and 17.4% of deaths due to opiate overdose. So the combination of alcohol plus opiates resulted in almost 17.4% people dying. Uh, it's estimated 140,000 people, approximately 97,000 men and 43,000 women died from alcohol-related causes annually, making alcohol the fourth leading preventable cause of death in the United States behind tobacco, poor diet, physical activity, and illegal drugs. And so I think that we have to kind of reset, uh, you know, and I think there's been a really seductive move to reintroduce alcohol to a different group, a younger group of people, particularly women. Particularly women, I think, are having a real issue with this. Um, kind of like the Marlboro commercials were for men, I think alcohol is for women. Um, this is an analysis of death certificates from 2019 to 2020 showed that deaths involving alcohol rose from 79,000 to 99,000. So all these numbers are increasing. I guess my take home is that the numbers keep increasing, and we hadn't even gotten to COVID and alcohol-related domestic violence issues, alcohol-related trauma issues, and what that meant. Says between 2015 and 2019, leading cause of alcohol attributable deaths due to chronic conditions in the United States were liver disease, alcohol-associated liver diseases, cirrhosis, which is the liver becomes hard and swollen and breaks down its enzymes ALT and AST into the bloodstream, causing itching and bloating and um, change in thinking is called encephalopathy. Um, and also cardiovascular diseases, cancers of all types. Again, alcohol made all these things worse. And I'm bringing this up because there was a point in my career where we said alcohol was okay. You could drink alcohol in small amounts. And it still says that. But the bottom line is that what I understand and what I'm understanding, I'm trying to communicate to people, take care of that you mix the alcohol with the medicines, with your age, with your trauma, it becomes a very, very unhealthy mix. particularly in a lot of mood disorders and depression and anxiety and panic. So, in the cancers were, of course, digestive tract, liver, colon, breast. Um, Alcohol impaired driving facilities accounted for 13,384 deaths, or 31% of overall driving fatalities. 31% of people dying was related to alcohol driving. According to the most recent estimate from the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, 21% of suicide deceased had blood alcohol concentration. So when you drink, again, back to the mental health issue, makes you more anxious, makes you more stressed, makes you more prone to suicide. And I want to give a special shout out. This morning, I watched a special one, coach in Utah Oaks, I think. He had lost his wife vis-a-vis breast cancer and picked himself up, got remarried. His son was visiting family, and uh, he ended up committing suicide. He shot himself. And the point was that in that age range that they were talking about, like it was 12 to 13 to 14. That's a primary risk factor for young men, particularly young white males, in suicide, and young African American men in suicide. We're seeing more of that with women too, but definitely African American men and young white men, Hispanic men at risk. And it's not necessarily them killing themselves, but doing risky stuff, driving fast cars, whatever the risk of the day is for them. Uh, so among people who die by suicide, alcohol use disorder is the second most common mental disorder, involved in roughly 1 in 4 deaths by suicide. So take home message: if you're a group of people that you care about that are drinking, they're more risk to hurt themselves, harm themselves, just because of what alcohol does to the brain, how it makes you think, and what it does and what it doesn't do. And if you need suicide or mental health related crisis support, uh, you can call 988 Suicide Crisis Lifeline to chat with Lifeline. Or you can visit the NIA Alcohol Treatment Navigator to find a treatment provider. Again, that's 988 Suicide and Crisis Lifeline, or chat with Lifeline. Don't be a stranger. Uh, Everyone needs help. And that was the take home message from this coach. So he immediately went to his team, and he had like 4 kids on his team who were contemplating suicide. So you don't know. I come from an era where if you asked about suicide in a clinical interview, then the belief was you made people more at risk to want to promote suicide. Now they understand if you don't ask, then they wonder why I'm going to kill myself. Okay, so in September, 3 main universities celebrated in September, all surrounding suicide awareness and prevention, including the following: this is National Suicide Prevention Month in September. National Suicide Prevention Month is known as Suicide Prevention Awareness Month, is dedicated to suicide prevention and awareness. The National Suicide Prevention Lifeline website describes this event. We can all help prevent suicide every year. Lifeline and other mental health organizations across the U.S. and worldwide raise awareness of suicide prevention during September. Again, suicide. Studies showcase that access to mental health screenings and adequate mental health resources is associated with 30% fewer suicide attempts in communities. Now, I'd multiply that by, I'd say 7% in our communities, in communities of color. Then they have National Prevention Suicide Week, occurs from September the 6th to the 12th. World Suicide Prevention Day, September the 10th. This event aims to raise awareness for and prevent suicide across the globe. It takes more of a global approach to suicide prevention and involves hundreds of events and initiatives each year. We're at 2:40. I want to thank you guys for tuning in. Believe Radio, 24-hour inspirational gospel music, uh, and Believe Radio. Um, Thanks for tuning in. I'm subbing for Miss Barbara Howard, Eyes Conscious Soul, the host program, and as she takes a break. Enjoy you. And some of the other good days, the World's Alzheimer's Day. And again, September holds Labor Day and Patriot Day and honors those who were killed September 11th attacks. Additionally, September is National Happy Cat Month. Okay. And says, why is September a ninth month? As a result, September became a ninth month on the calendar, while September sees a downtick in the number of outdoorsy days. What does it mean? What does it mean to get outside and enjoying the waning of summer? September is the first month of fall in the northern hemisphere and the first month of spring in the southern hemisphere. Uh, September has 30 days, and also it's National HIV/AIDS and Aging. Yeah, and it's 1.2 million people living with HIV infection in the U.S. And an estimated 50 are over 50 or estimated to be over age 55 or over. Another focus of the campaign includes those diagnosed after the age 15, according to AIDS Institute. Increased awareness for an aging population is necessary. Finally, the days come. Also aims to increase support to the growing number of grandparents becoming guardians of children losing their parents to HIV/AIDS. Here's one I thought was really kind of interesting. National Grandma Moses Day. National Grandma Moses Day was on September the 7th and celebrates the birth of Grandma Moses Day. It celebrates the talented artist named Anna Mary Robertson Moses, better known as Grandma Moses. Born on the same day in 1860, the Ossification pays homage to an artist who remains inspirational to people starting careers late in life. Despite her advanced age, she defied the odds and sought to become one of the most celebrated artists in her time. Cute, kind of good. The work was kind of cute. I like that. Uh, some other interesting ones are National Checkers Day, of course, National Air Force Day, National Teddy Bear Day, and for all of you folks, National Singles Day. But here was one I really kind of caught my eye: National Teal Day. Teal is a teal talk, and it's to bring to the mind the 249,000 women who are diagnosed with ovarian cancer worldwide, and they go friends and with a teal on a day out talk and conversation, and they talk about joining groups and men are welcome too. Okay, thanks. And their mothers and wives and daughters at risk for ovarian cancer, they should have a teal talk or a teal tea and have that conversation with your provider about ovarian cancer. Of course, you get your pap smear and some of the presentation issues, kind of non-specific, persistent bloating, lack of energy, loss of appetite, feeling fuller than usual. So GI versus ovarian cancer versus gastritis versus reflux. So you got to get it checked out. It says, go for a walk with mom and friends. Even a short walk will be long enough for a teal talk. It's about the family history, encourage them to share it with their daughters and granddaughters. Urge them to see their gynecologist to review family history for inherited risk factors. Families with a strong history of ovarian or breast cancer have a 15 to 4% lifetime risk when compared with the general population, according to the National Cancer Institute. In other words, get screened, do prevention, do your work. Um, Discusses, and so it says from a social media standpoint, from the providers, discuss the symptoms. Don't hesitate to see a provider if you have any of the symptoms, which were persistent bloating, lack of energy, loss of appetite, feeling fuller than usual. Encourage women in your life to maintain their routine exams, learn about ovarian cancer, support organizations researching treatments and cure and advanced screening, support those who received the diagnosis, share your stories to help others. And some of the national observances are American Chess Day, Ginger Cat Appreciation Day, Pink Cadillac Day. That gotta be interesting. World Letter Writing Day. Um, to all you English professors out there, and students, and nurses, and all those folks that have to write. And College Colors Day, National Blueberry Popsicle Day, World Coconut Day. Labor Day, Eat an Extra Dessert Day. That's a good one. Well, I want to thank you folks for tuning in. Um, it's been really great having this conversation. Um, I would just ask people to stay aware and stay open and stay focused. Do not uh, go to sleep on any of this because it's very serious. I want to thank Dr. Green. Oh, it's National Dance Day too, Dr. Green. So that should be one you like. Mosey, Cheryl, thanks for all your help, support. Um, this is my Conscious Voices team as we start continuing to work on a qualified healthcare center. Um, and I think that um, the divisions in society are all self-inflicted, and our inability to be honest and fair and concise about the issues of the day makes our job that much harder because you have to cut through all the BS to get to where you need to go. So that can be a very um, hard to do when you're trying to make ends meet, when you're trying to just do the day to days, and you get overwhelmed and you want a simple solution to a complex problem. And that's what we have going on right now. We want simple solutions to complex problems, and that's just isn't the way it is. Um, I think uh, again, as African Americans, I've talked about this before. There's issues around racial bias and the belief that one race is superior to another can lead to prejudice against individuals from different backgrounds. In this case, the bias may manifest itself as a assumption that African American person does not belong simply because of their race. This can happen in healthcare, it can happen in assessment. We have to confront these issues. You can't be Tim Scott and say racism doesn't exist because it does. And the fact that he has to acknowledge that it doesn't exist means that it exists. You don't have to defend anything that doesn't exist in your mind. You wouldn't even bring it up. But if you feel the need to bring it up, then you've been, as he said, he's been had some exposure to being affected because of his color, skin. So if that's not racism, I'm not clear about it. We'll figure that one out. Stereotyping, and it's the preconceived notion that particularly African American individuals can contribute to biases and prejudice. These stereotypes might mean assumptions about intelligence, cultural practices, socioeconomic status, leading to a perception of not belonging. And we have to go so far to just belong. And I think it's one of the things that says that it's the thing that says, well, you have to be 10 times better than the person next to you. Well, try 100 times, try 1,000 times, you know, try something that's not attainable because they're not that. So how can I be better than someone that's not that? But this is why we are having these kinds of discussions and why adult men can't settle on and pass a budget because their intention is not to pass the budget. Their intention is to cause chaos. It's the tension. I'm thinking about Matt Gaetz. He really is a media. He needs the media. If the lights aren't on him and shining, they're not got a microphone in his face. He's not happy. And so, what do you do when people don't listen to you or won't talk to you? You create chaos, and then they have to talk to you just so you can be asked to stop the chaos. Um, Implicit bias. Biases are unconscious attitudes or beliefs that influence our perceptions and judgments. They contribute, they contribute to discrimination against African American individuals, even without overt intent and judgment. For instance, someone might subconsciously associate African American individuals with certain negative characteristics, leading them to doubt their belonging. Confirmation bias. This bias occurs when individuals seek information that confirms their existing beliefs while ignoring evidence that contradicts them. If a white person already holds prejudiced views about Africans, they may actively seek evidence to support their belief that the African individual doesn't belong. So you can never be right. You can never do enough. You can never be enough. You have to do more. And when you do more, the expectation is that's what you're supposed to do. Almost a plantation mindset. Um, so it gets us to, Arizona GOP representative using the phrase colored people during a House debate. Yeah. African American fishing being harassed because uh, he was at a community based fishing hole fishing. Woman comes up and berates him about why he's there. He shouldn't be there, and all these kind of weird things. Just for fishing. So if you can't fish, man, I tell you, it's kind of disconcerting. Um, I think that a lot of things that are happening now have to be with, the fairness doctrine and how are we going to be as a people? How are we going to be defined? You um, and um, want to take this final thing. I was talked about men and men's health. I was talking about women's health, but it's a discussion in GPT chat. Uh, the American phrase American men in crisis refers to challenges and issues affecting men in the United States. While there's no real-time data, you can have some issues about the issue of struggles, and one of them is mental health. Men in the United States often face stigma and barriers when it comes to seeking help for mental health issues. Depression, anxiety, suicide rates tend to be higher among men compared to women. Suicide. Suicide is a significant concern for American men. According to the Centers for Disease Control Prevention in 2019, men accounted for approximately 3 out of 4 suicide deaths in the United States. The suicide rate was particularly high among middle-aged and older white men. and men too. Substance abuse. Men have historically had higher rates of substance abuse compared to women. Issues such as alcoholism, opiate addiction, drug overdose have been a concern for many men in the United States. Education and employment. While there have been strides in recent years, certain challenges persist regarding educational attainment and employment opportunities for American men. Men may face difficulties in certain sectors, such as the decline of traditional male-dominated industries and the demand for new skill sets. Incarceration. Men represent a significant majority of the incarcerated population in the United States. High rates of incarceration have been long-lasting effects on individuals and their families, contributing to challenges in employment, education, and overall well-being. Uh, that's men. I want to thank you for listening in. Um, it's been great. Uh, I think I'm back next week. Uh, no, Miss Howard being next week. And I'll be in the following week. And uh, want to thank you for listening and the support. And I want to thank all you that make this possible with your cards, your prayer. I want to say hello to my grandchildren and Kaylee. Love you lots. Um, I ain't forgot. We doing what we need to do to get it going. So be who you be. I think you got a birthday coming up too. So wow, almost a year now. Huh, that's interesting. Anyway, I want to thank her for grandparents too, and say hello to my sisters and Kaylee and Mika. Love you too. Uh, it's been you're surprised at the number of females in your life as a man, and what that means in terms of your growth and your development, who you are, and what makes you who you are. And uh, uh, been well supported. Really appreciative of that on all levels. And see, be safe out there. Uh, be supportive of one another. Be peaceful. Um, uh, don't anyone let anyone, you know, take away your light, take away your shine. Um, Last thing, it's here, and for my folks in the mental health community, they're gonna have to deal with it. But Care Court is starting to be activated in California, and if you don't know what Care Court is going to be, look up the CARE Act, and it is a discussion about the ability for folks that have mental health challenges that are not stabilized in care, not stabilized in a care setting, the ability to have them remanded to and provided treatment for is the new law of the land. I've been talking about this for the last couple of years now, and they just finished all the challenges, and now it's soon to be up and running in the Bay Area. So uh, folks need to know the thoughts and what's going to happen with their loved ones when your loved ones have mental challenges and such that they become disruptive or unsafe or in situations that put them at risk of harm. That's going to be the new standard of care. So we'll see how it plays out. That's one of the things the governor stressed as a solution to the homeless problem. Truly, a large number of folks that are homeless have mental health challenges and substance use disorders, which makes it almost impossible to house them. And it's really what I'm finding is, some friends of mine talking that, you know, folks that are being housed, that are being unhoused for so long, are almost bringing their unhoused behaviors into the places that they're living. Whether it be hoarding or animals or whatever. And so that's the flip side to that. I want to thank you for tuning in to Education is Best Medicine, hosted by the Conscious Soul uh, and Mrs. Barbara Howard, who will be back next week. I want to thank everyone for tuning in, and I want to wish everyone the best of the weekend. Happy National Indigenous Persons Day. So we knew we'd get in there. I guess that's a new place is Columbus, right? Hopefully. Goodbye. Doing him.